Hi everyone, my name is Karen, this is my channel RatherBeReading, and today I'm bringing to you my marked as to read video for January. In terms of marking books to read on Goodreads, my month actually got off pretty slow. For like the first half of the month I'd marked hardly any books as to read, and then things just really picked up in the second half of the month, so I do have 17 books to talk about, so let's jump straight in. The first book I want to talk about is Jane Steele by Lindsay Fay. This is a book that I've heard a lot about, and a lot of people just had it on their favourite books of 2016 list. This is not a retelling so much as it's because it's set in a world where Jane Eyre exists, but it is kind of a retelling of Jane Eyre. But Jane Steele is a murderer, but apparently she has really good reasons for murdering people. It just sounds really interesting. I haven't read Jane Eyre, but I do own a copy of it, and I do really want to read it. It's one of the classics that I really want to get to. So hopefully when I've read Jane Eyre, I will then pick up Jane Steele. Next, I have Dead Girls of Hysteria Hall by Katie Allender. I did have Famous Last Words by Katie Allender in my marked as to read video last month, and one of my viewers or subscribers, Emily, commented on it and was saying that she really loves Katie Allender, and we are planning to buddy read Famous Last Words together, but she mentioned that The Dead Girls of Hysteria Hall was her favourite book that she'd read by her, and it sounds really interesting, so I did mark that one as to read as well. I don't know too much about it except that it deals with an asylum, but asylums is definitely one of my buzzwords, so I am really excited to eventually read that book. Next, I have Everything You Want Me to Be by Mindy Mejia. This was actually, I saw on a Goodreads article that they had about the buzziest books of the season, and this was the mystery thriller book that they had on that. It sounds really interesting. I believe it's kind of a thriller story about a popular girl who is stabbed to death on the evening of the opening night of the school play, and I believe it goes back like a year previously, and you see the last year of like her life from 3 different points of view, and you're kind of leading up to this eventual like murder of her. It sounds really interesting. Like I said, it was on that list. It just sounded really cool, so I did mark it as to read. Next, I have A List of Cages by Robin Rowe. This one has just been getting absolutely huge buzz on BookTube lately. So many people have been talking about it. I haven't heard a single negative thing about it so far. I believe this is, again, a young adult contemporary story. It follows 2 boys who are reunited who were previously foster brothers. That's what I've really like retained from the synopsis. People have just been saying amazing things about it. I think it's got great themes of like friendship and kindness, which is really nice. So like I said, all the buzz has just made me really want to pick this one up. Next, I have Stalking Jack the Ripper by Kerry Maniscalco. Again, this is another one that I've just heard quite a bit about on BookTube recently. It was also like the group read for the biannual bibliothon that just happened, so a lot of people were talking about it. This is a historical fiction book, obviously set around the time of Jack the Ripper, and I believe it follows a girl who wants to be like a, like not a mortician, but I can't think what the word is, but you know, when they check the bodies after they're died, like they do the autopsies and stuff, I think, and it's obviously set during the time of Jack the Ripper and trying to figure out who Jack the Ripper is. Like I said, I just heard good things about it, and it does sound really fun. Next, I have One of Us is Lying by Karen M. McManus. I first saw this on Twitter, and it was described as The Breakfast Club with murder, and that immediately I was like, yeah, I'm in, I want to read it. I believe this follows 5 teenagers who are in detention. However, only 4 of them get out of detention. One of them is murdered, and so it just kind of is following that story. It sounds really fun, and I was actually just approved for this book on NetGalley. Yes! So I will hopefully be reading that one really soon. Next, I have Talking to My Country by Stan Grant. This has been being talked about on BookTube a little bit recently by some Australian booktubers, and it's just, I believe, one of those books that every Australian should read. It deals a lot with racial issues. It is written by an Indigenous Australian author, so I am Australian, so of course I want to read this book. I am very uncultured about Indigenous Australians, which is really like awful. I would like to learn more about them and like see some really in-depth and probably hard-hitting looks at how Indigenous people are treated in Australia. So I do really want to read this one because I just think it's a really important book for me as a white Australian to pick up. Next, I have The Summer That Melted Everything by Tiffany McDaniel. Now, this one, Mel from That Girl Bookworm has been talking about for a really long time, that she really loves, and it was on her favourites list, and then it was also on Cece from Problems of a Book Nerd. It was on her favourites list as well. I'm not going to lie, this doesn't really sound like something that I would normally enjoy, but the fact that these two have been raving about it does make me think that maybe I would enjoy it, and it's like it's something I should pick up. The synopsis is a little bit weird. I believe it's about a boy who claims to be the devil or something. I don't know. It sounds really interesting. That's all I really remember about the synopsis. Again, I'm not sure about this one, but Cece and Mel both had good things to say about it, so maybe I'll love it. The next book I marked as to read is Wild by Cheryl Strayed. I've also heard about this book for a long time, but something about it recently has just been really calling my name. I think I'm becoming a lot more interested in memoir type stories about women finding themselves. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because I'm turning 29 this year, which means next year I'm turning 30 and I'm having kind of a midlife crisis. So I don't know if it's because of that, but these kind of stories are just really calling to me, and I really do want to watch the movie with Reese Witherspoon in it, but I do want to read the book first. So I don't know, this might be a book that I get to in 2017 because, like I say, it's really just been calling my name lately. Next, I have Homegoing by Yaa Gyasi. This is a book that I'm sure you've all heard of. It's been getting huge buzz on BookTube. This is a book about two sisters, I believe. One is sold into slavery and one marries a slave trader, I think. And then it follows like 200 years, like 5 generations or something. And it's almost like short stories I've heard that you get, I think, like a different story following the next generation throughout and seeing how, you know, their 2 generation lines kind of diverge. It sounds really interesting. I said people have been absolutely raving about it. Again, I don't think I read enough like books about really hard-hitting like racial issues, so it is a book that I would like to kind of push myself to read. Next, I want to talk about A Man Called Ove, is that how you say it, by Frederick Backman. Again, this is just another one that people have been talking a lot about on BookTube. Again, it made an appearance on quite a few people's favourite lists. I'm not really too clear about what it's about, except that it's about like a grumpy old man. That's all I really know about it, which is really stupid. But yeah, it sounds interesting. Like I said, people have just been really raving about it. The author of this book also wrote My Grandmother Asked Me to Tell You She's Sorry, which is another one that people have been saying good things about. So I say I've just heard a lot of good things about it, and it's really piqued my interest. Next, I have The Sixth Domicile by Courtney Ruggles. I actually heard about this one when Christina Marie did a author interview with the author, and the author just sounded really sweet, and I just really wanted to check out her book. I believe it's a new adult dystopian. I'm not too clear on what it's actually about, but I will read you the just little like blurb that I think another author wrote about it, and that is a heart-wrenching dystopian with star-crossed lovers and a reminder that love and freedom can never be caged. So it sounds interesting. Like I said, the author just seemed really sweet. I like new adult, I like dystopian, so yeah, it just sounds like something that could be fun to read. Next, I have The Circle by Sarah B. Elfgren and Mats Strandberg. I heard about this in a TBR, I think it was, from Alexa Loves Books. Again, not too clear on the synopsis, but she said it is about a group of witches. That's all I really needed to hear. I heard group of witches and I was like, oh, that sounds good, so I immediately marked it as to read. Next, I have Before He Finds Her by Michael Cardos. I actually heard about this on Peter Likes Books channel. It was in his favourite books of 2016. It is a mystery thriller book. I think it's about this guy who like threw this big block party, but then he murdered his wife and daughter, or 3 daughters or something, but everyone's wrong because one of the daughters survived and she's been like living in hiding for like 18 years or something, and for some reason she comes out of hiding or something. I'm not really sure. He had really good things to say about it. Obviously, it was on his favourite books list. And then when I looked it up on Goodreads, I saw that Aoife from Fred Weasley Died Laughing had given this 5 stars. So I was like, well, if Aoife liked it, I like thrillers, so I now want to check it out, of course. Next, I have The Morning Hours by Paula Trick de Board. This is another one that was in Peter Likes Books, favourite books of 2016. It's another mystery thriller. This one is about a girl who I think returns to her hometown. She hasn't been back to her hometown since like the disappearance of a girl like rocked the town, and the main suspect like in the disappearance of this girl was her older brother, who was the girl who went missing's boyfriend. And she returns to the small town like years and years later, and I believe it's just kind of following what happened with the girl, about all the prejudices in the small town, things like that. So it sounds like my alley. Like I said, Peter Likes Books. He's really enthusiastic. When he really loves a book, like he's so enthusiastic on his channel, it just immediately makes me want to read it when he loves something. So mystery thrillers are right up my alley, so I definitely want to read this one. The next book I marked as to read is The V Girl by Maya Robarts. Now, this one I actually saw, someone added me as a friend on Goodreads, and whenever anyone adds me as a friend, I always go to their page and like check out their books, and I like to look at their favorites shelf. Now, normally when I look at their favorite shelf, it's all books that you've heard of and like that everyone loves, but she had this book on her list and I'd never heard of it, so I clicked on it and it has like a huge amount of 5-star ratings, and it sounds really, really different. It's about a world where sexual slavery is legal, I think it says, and this girl decides that she wants to lose her virginity before these like soldiers come to town or whatever and take it by force. She wants to lose it like kind of on her own terms. So I think she decides that she's going to seduce like her best friend who's a boy, even though she's not in love with him. That's kind of the start of the synopsis, and the synopsis goes on for a while. I didn't read too much more than that. Like I said, it just sounds quite different, and I did like skim some like of the reviews and people were saying how different it is, but like I said, it's got so many good ratings, so it just sounds like I said, really different. So I do want to hopefully check it out at some point. And the final book that I marked as to read in the month of January was I Remember You by Kathleen Davitt Bell. Michaela was talking about this in her mid-month January wrap-up, I think it was, and she had good things to say about it. It just sounded really interesting. I believe it's about a girl who meets this boy like at school. I think he might be like a new student or something, and he has all these memories like of her and of their life together, but they've never met before, and they're kind of memories but of their future, I think. But then I think the memories start to get like a bit ominous. I don't know, it sounded really interesting. Michaela had good things to say about it. Like I said, so it just sounded really interesting and like something that I would enjoy checking out. So those are all the books that I marked as to read on Goodreads during the month of January. If you've read any of these books, have any thoughts, I would love to chat with you about them. If you have any really awesome books that you're really interested in checking out that you maybe marked as to read on Goodreads in the month of January, I'd love to chat with you in the comments down below. Please like this video if you liked it. Please subscribe to my channel if you want to see more. But that's all I've got for this video today. Bye guys!